I think fun is a good word. I'm curious if you've got any other one word adjectives that we can use to describe Jac Caglione.
I don't have any one word, but I think this is a dude. He is massive. Like he is a physically imposing athlete. Like 6'5",
Yoked.
250. He might make some of these Kansas City Chiefs tight ends look small. He's got immense power, but ultimately, like Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility, and you have to be able to hit in order to tap into that power. And that is my big issue with Jack Caglione. I think that there is very serious red flags with the swing and miss in his game. It's not nearly as bad as like a Charlie Condon, but like we'll talk about Charlie Condon when we get to Colorado Rockies. Jack Caglione, he blew apart the SEC. Like he was just phenomenal. Like get pitcher, a hitter. Ultimately we all agree he's a hitter. And I think that he's a good first baseman. Like he can just go there and be fine. He's really, but the entire package is the offense, and he has the highest upside of anybody that was drafted because he could be the guy who hits 40 home runs. He could be Pete Alonso, sort of like offensive impact with Jack Caglione. Like I think that's what we could expect from him. In towards the right end of the like bar, like whatever the modeling is. So he's someone who I'm very excited about, but also we have to recognize there are some very serious weaknesses with him.
I agree. I think that the 50 hit tool grade that's here on him is incredibly generous. I think that,
Mhm.
I guess what I'll do here, Reese, is before we talk about his fantasy value, which is kind of interesting in its own, I have to ask, people say that whiffing is kind of not necessarily a bad thing because if you're only getting good pitches and you're swinging at good pitches, that's fine. I mean, you're swinging at the pitches you should, but I know that Cags also chases. And I just think that it's such a fine line, and I'm struggling to determine exactly where I value that hit tool because I don't know that it's quite a 40, but I'm also not sure that I guess that means it's a 45. If it's not quite a 40, not quite a 50. But either way, what's your take on the hit tool specifically? Because we're in agreement. The power is dumb. I mean, it's arguably plus plus. I think comfortably plus. Good fielder in terms of a first baseman, what you can expect there. I don't think he's a zero in terms of stolen bases. He could probably kick in a couple yearly, but the hit tool is really going to be kind of the end all be all for Cags, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a 45. I think he's someone who he does chase. That's his big issue. Is like I'm okay with some swing and miss in the zone because ultimately
Right.
swing and miss in the zone. If you didn't swing at it, it's going to be a strike regardless, right? Like in theory. So
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
really care if he swung at it or not. Like that doesn't bother me as much. But he chases breaking pitches out of the zone, and that's the scary thing. He is. It's
Yeah.
not Javi Baez esque, but it's like very similar esque, like almost cartoonishly bad swings at times.
It's it is concerning though. I mean, we know for a fact that he's seen major league quality pitchers because he pitched or excuse me, played in the SEC. We know that he's faced Hagen Smith. We know that he's seen Ben Hess, other players who are considered and valued at a good level. Cags is still just out of the zone. He swings so often. And now, granted, I'm curious how much of that is kind of Florida's entire team was. Excuse me, Colby Shelton. I'm sorry, but like a lot of their value was kind of placed on his very large shoulders. So how much of that is hero syndrome? You got to swing because you got to connect because the team wants to win. It's just there's so many questions that I've got for Cags, and it's not all necessarily on field stuff because he is so exciting. Um, a truly electric player. And I think that it's safe to say he should go within the first 10 picks of an FYPD draft. I know that right after the draft, he was probably in that top five range, maybe even the top three, because the Royals is a good landing spot. They're going to be, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with his development, particularly again, like we've harped on about the hit tool. But that is the most important thing. I'm curious is top 50 prospects. I think top 50 prospects in fantasy is a little aggressive for Cags, but I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I think it's aggressive because I just don't know if he hits enough. Like if this is a 40 hitter, the power just plays down and everything. That's my big issue with him is that he needs to hit. Like it is so paramount to him. He doesn't have anything else to fall back on. Maybe he falls back on being a pitcher, but I just don't think like even the command there. It's like
Yeah.
would he swing and miss if he faced himself like if he was a hitter and the pitcher at the same time? He would probably just strike out like himself, like just by going out and chasing all these pitches and everything like that. Because so it's something that I'm really worried about with Cags.